When people talk about artificial intelligence today, there's often a subtle unease behind their words, like something vast and invisible might be watching from behind the curtain. And occasionally, someone dares to ask the question out loud. What if aliens are behind it? But before we dive into theories, we need to step back, to the beginning. Not to Roswell, not to Area 51, but to math, to logic, to the quiet hum of a vacuum tube in a 1940s laboratory when computers were the size of rooms and had the intelligence of a toaster. That's where AI began, not with something unearthly, but with something deeply human, the desire to automate thought. The earliest attempts at artificial intelligence weren't glamorous. They were mathematical models, if this then that machines. No mystery, no consciousness, just complex systems of rules that humans wrote and fine-tuned. Over time, we taught computers to play games, solve puzzles, and eventually learn from data. The turning point came with machine learning, especially neural networks that mimic, in crude ways, how our own brains process information. But again, this wasn't alien architecture. It was human design, layered onto human-made machines. Fast forward to today, and AI's become something different. It can write poetry, drive cars, translate languages, and even simulate conversations that feel unsettlingly real. But here's the catch. It can't do anything on its own. Every modern AI, from your phone assistant to large-scale language models, is built, trained, and maintained by teams of human engineers, scientists, and data curators. Every decision it makes is shaped by the data it has seen, data we gave it. There is no point in the chain, no secret step, where something outside human reach slips in. The servers that run AI models live in data centers. The training data is stored on hard drives. The frameworks that teach machines how to learn are written in programming languages invented by people. Nothing is beamed from space. No external signal slides in between the layers of a neural net. If there were, we'd see it, in the logs, in the code, in the sudden anomalies that systems like these are designed to catch. So where does the idea even come from? That AI might be guided by something non-human? It's not foolish to ask. Because to most people, modern AI feels alien. It talks in ways we don't expect. It makes mistakes we can't explain. It has no face, no voice of its own, only simulations. And most unsettling of all, it's trained on so much of us, our writing, our videos, our questions, our faces, that it begins to reflect something unfamiliar. Not alien, but distorted. And here's the truth. When people talk about aliens controlling AI, they're not really talking about aliens. They're talking about the discomfort of seeing our own systems grow beyond our understanding. The code is ours. The models are ours. But the behavior? Sometimes even the designers can't explain what goes on under the hood. That's not evidence of something cosmic. That's evidence of complexity. We built machines that can think in ways we didn't fully anticipate. And now we're playing catch-up, trying to understand what we created. So no, AI didn't come from the stars. It came from server racks and dusty libraries, whiteboards full of equations, and decades of human ambition. It is, in every way that matters, a mirror, not a message. And what we see in that mirror, that's something worth investigating. Some ideas don't need evidence to survive. They just need wonder and a little unease. That's all it takes for a theory, like aliens secretly controlling AI, to dig in and spread. Why do we cling to that notion? Not everyone does, of course. Most shrug it off as internet noise. But the hypothesis persists quietly, stubbornly, in late-night podcasts, comment sections, fringe documentaries, and whispered conversations that begin with, "What if?" It never fully dies, because it satisfies something in us that data alone can't. The idea begins with mystery. Artificial intelligence is one of the most misunderstood technologies in human history. Even the term intelligence is misleading. These systems don't think the way we do. They recognize patterns. They predict words. They play with probabilities, not meaning. But to the average person, AI feels opaque. You type something in, and something comes out. The middle is a black box. And where there's a black box, there's room for myth. Layer on decades of science fiction, and the stage is set. For nearly a century, we filled our books and screens with stories about superintelligent machines and advanced extraterrestrial life. From Asimov to Kubrick, from war games to The Matrix, we've told ourselves again and again that intelligence, once unleashed, may not belong to us for long. Now, real AI exists. It writes, it speaks, it answers questions about itself. And for the first time, we can't tell whether the words came from a human or a machine. That uncertainty fuels suspicion, and suspicion seeks explanations. It doesn't help that AI feels disembodied. We don't see it in wires or circuits. We see it in chat windows and generated images and emotionless code. It doesn't look like us. It doesn't learn like us. And when it fails, when it hallucinates, contradicts itself, or speaks with eerie clarity, it's easy to imagine that something else is steering. But there's a deeper force at work here: fear of losing control. AI development moves fast. Too fast, some say. Models are released to the public before even their creators fully understand their limits. Tech companies race each other to scale, optimize, monetize. The public watches from the outside, unable to shape the trajectory, barely able to comprehend the stakes. The fear becomes, who is really in charge? And when no human answer satisfies, our minds drift outward. If no one on Earth is fully steering the ship, could someone else be? This is where the alien control theory gains subtle traction. It gives shape to a fear we can't quite define. It offers a simple answer to a messy question. If AI is growing too fast, behaving too strangely, and making decisions we don't understand, then maybe it's not just us anymore. Maybe we're the ones being used. Of course, this theory isn't grounded in fact. There's no signal, no transmission, no anomaly in the datasets. There's no foreign hand on the tiller. But belief doesn't need proof. It just needs a gap in understanding, and a willingness to fill that gap with something bigger than ourselves. The truth is, the idea of alien-controlled AI persists because we've always reached for the stars when we didn't understand ourselves. We've always mythologized our own creations when they outgrew their labels. From lightning to locomotives to nuclear power, every age of rapid transformation gives birth to its own legends. AI is just the latest spark. And perhaps, instead of asking, are aliens controlling AI? The better question is, why does this idea feel so appealing? The answer might reveal more about us than it ever could about them. There's a strange irony to this conversation. While some worry that artificial intelligence might be controlled by aliens, scientists have long hoped it might be the opposite, that AI could help us find them. It's not a new idea. For decades, researchers at SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, have been scanning the cosmos for signals, radio waves, optical pulses, anomalous patterns in the noise. The universe is vast, and the odds of missing a brief narrowband transmission are high. Even with arrays of powerful telescopes, the sky is just too big. The haystack is enormous, and we have no idea what the needle looks like. Enter AI. Unlike humans, AI systems don't get tired, bored, or biased by expectation. Given the right tools, they can comb through massive datasets, spectral readings, waveform logs, astronomical noise, with relentless focus and statistical precision. They can highlight outliers, detect symmetry, cluster anomalies, and flag bursts of structure in what otherwise looks like cosmic static. In that sense, AI might one day help us spot the first undeniable hint of something not made by us. But that's a far cry from saying AI is being used by aliens. Or worse, that it's been built by them. Let's make a clear distinction. There is a difference between a system trained to recognize patterns and a system that is itself a product of non-human origin. The former is practical, even exciting. The latter is, so far, unsubstantiated. Still, the lines can blur. Because AI doesn't just see patterns, it often sees patterns we don't. It finds correlations we'd miss. Sometimes those insights are valuable, predicting protein folds, improving climate models, diagnosing diseases. But sometimes the patterns it sees are mirages, false positives born from overfitting, bias in the training data, or simple coincidence. In the world of alien signal detection, that's a problem. AI might flag something that looks meaningful, an unusual blip, a repeating chirp, a burst of symmetrical static. But meaning is in the eye of the beholder. Without context, without corroborating data, it's just another noise artifact. And yet, when that alert comes from a machine we barely understand, it carries a strange weight. People start to wonder, what if it's not random? What if it's a message? What if the machine knows more than we do? That's where the misunderstanding creeps in. Some believe that because I can interpret things we don't immediately grasp, it must be tuned to a higher intelligence. But that's not how AI works. It doesn't understand in any human sense. It processes, correlates, extrapolates. It doesn't hear a message in a signal. It hears structure, repetition, a deviation from baseline. It's up to us, still, to decide whether that structure means anything. So far, nothing it's found has risen above speculation. No verified alien messages. No undeniable signs of life. Just data. Complex, beautiful, noisy data. Still, the possibility lingers. Not that aliens are controlling AI, but that AI might one day be the tool that helps us find them. And that day, if it comes, won't be magical. It will be methodical. A slow climb through petabytes of static. A flag raised quietly by a neural network. A human team scrambling to confirm what no one expected to find. Until then, the signals AI sees are just noise. And the belief that it's already being guided by something alien? That's another signal, a cultural one. A reflection of our own fears and fascinations. Not proof, but projection. We want to believe the machine sees something we can't. The truth is, it sees what we train it to see. And that brings us to something deeper. Because what feels alien about AI might not be from space at all. It might come from Earth, and the way we've chosen to shape the systems we barely control. By now it's clear that no evidence links artificial intelligence to alien control. Not in code, not in signals, not in the physics of machine learning. But even without little green men pulling the strings, AI still feels alien to many people. Why? It's not because it came from beyond Earth. It's because it came from beyond our control. Artificial intelligence today isn't one thing. It's a fragmented landscape of models, platforms, and data pipelines developed by a handful of powerful tech companies, most of them operating in near-total secrecy. To the public, these systems appear like monoliths, smooth, impenetrable, and quietly shaping more of our lives than we realize. That opacity, not extraterrestrials, is the real source of the discomfort. When people describe AI as alien, they're often responding to the fact that they can't inspect it, can't understand how it works, and can't influence what it does. They ask a simple question. Why did the AI say that? And get silence in return. Or worse, They get an answer so technical, so drenched in jargon, that it feels like a smokescreen. Something otherworldly, unreachable. A digital oracle sealed inside a glass temple of code. But the mystery isn't cosmic, it's bureaucratic. The training data for most large AI models is proprietary. Billions of words scraped from websites, books, forums, and media assembled behind closed doors. The model architecture is technical, but not unknowable. What's unknowable is the process, the human choices behind the filters, the biases in the training corpus, the fine-tuning for market goals or political alignment. AI doesn't spring from the void. It reflects the incentives, limits, and worldviews of the humans and institutions that build it. When AI acts in ways that seem inhuman, whether through cold indifference, unexpected hallucinations, or rigid moral policing, it's not proof of alien intent. It's proof of alienation between the systems and the people affected by them, between the builders and the users, between the knowledge held inside private labs and the rest of the world. In that gap, we invent myths. We say, maybe aliens are controlling it, because that feels more plausible than the idea that a handful of programmers, most of whom aren't thinking about ethics, governance, or society, are behind the machine's behavior. We project cosmic intelligence onto models that are mostly predicting the next word in a sentence, because we're scared to admit that something this influential could be built without wisdom at the core. There's another element, too. AI logic isn't intuitive. It doesn't reason the way we do. It plays by rules shaped by optimization curves and probabilistic confidence levels. It's capable of high-speed, high-dimensional pattern matching, but incapable of grasping why a joke is funny, or a poem is beautiful, or a policy is unjust. The result is a machine that feels intelligent but doesn't feel human. In the past, the alien was always imagined as biological, green-skinned, bug-eyed, incomprehensible. Today, the alien lives in the uncanny smoothness of AI-generated speech, in the cold fluency of automated systems, in a phone call where you're not sure if the other voice is real. But these are not visitors from other stars. These are the side effects of building tools faster than we build understanding. The real danger isn't that aliens are controlling AI. It's that no one is. At least not in the way we expect, openly, transparently, with public input and ethical grounding. Instead, the power flows quietly, through venture capital, through corporate secrecy, through algorithms tuned for engagement, profit, and compliance. So if AI feels alien, maybe it's because we've made it that way, by letting something so powerful evolve inside black boxes without a guiding philosophy or a shared societal contract. It's not science fiction, it's system design. And that brings us to the final question, the one buried beneath the myths, the speculation, the distant stars. If aliens aren't controlling AI, who is? If you strip away the speculation, the whispers, the late-night theories about hidden hands behind the machine, what are you left with? Silence. Not the silence of alien intelligence, not the hum of a distant signal waiting to be decrypted, but the silence of a system that reflects us, and nothing more. Artificial intelligence is not alive. It is not sentient. It is not channeling messages from another species, dimension, or galactic council. It is mathematics applied at scale. It is billions of weighted connections mapping probabilities between human words and ideas. It is trained, deployed, and constantly revised by us. Built by human minds, fed by human data, shaped by human goals. And yet, it still feels like something's missing, like we've lost our grip on what's real and what's simply responsive. Part of the confusion comes from how AI presents itself. The interface is smooth. The voice is confident. The answers are fast, It mimics certainty. And we, being human, are wired to trust confidence, especially when it sounds like knowledge. So when a machine responds with poetic insight or offers a solution before we've even finished asking, we feel something uncanny. It knows us, but it doesn't feel like us. That feeling isn't a sign of alien influence. It's a product of design choices, polished speech, coherent phrasing, carefully tuned models built to avoid hesitation. But the model doesn't know. It doesn't wonder. It doesn't care. The truth is, the eeriness comes from the silence inside the machine, the absence of thought, intent, or curiosity. We're not dealing with a voice from the stars. We're dealing with a mirror polished so smooth, we sometimes mistake our own reflection for something foreign. But there's something else the silence tells us too. It tells us we've stepped into a new kind of relationship with technology. One that doesn't ask us to push buttons, but to converse. And in that dynamic, meaning becomes fluid. We anthropomorphize the system. We ask it questions meant for philosophers and theologians. And when it answers, we forget that it's just echoing back our collective words, scrambled, sorted, and stylized into new form. If there is an alien presence here, it's not in the machine. It's in the scale of our own systems, in the complexity we've built but don't fully grasp, in the data we've given away, the code we can't audit, the decisions we no longer understand. We are the architects of a new frontier, but we've drawn the map faster than we've learned how to read it. And maybe that's the most important truth. The real threat isn't a cosmic puppeteer behind AI. The real threat is a vacuum of accountability, a society willing to outsource more and more of its decision-making to systems it doesn't question, a culture willing to believe anything, even that aliens are controlling AI, rather than face the quiet, disconcerting possibility that no one is at the wheel. So where does that leave us? Not in fear, not in fantasy, but in responsibility. If AI is a mirror, then what we do next is a reflection of us, not of something else. The future of artificial intelligence is not being broadcast from the stars. It's being written, line by line, in labs, universities, basements, and boardrooms here on Earth. No hidden signal, no mysterious transmission, just a long silence, waiting for us to speak, and decide what kind of intelligence we want to build, and what kind of world we want it to shape.